Captain Marcus Hale had spent most of his life in service to the Interstellar Peace Corps. From the time he was a young man, he had traveled from one star system to another, dealing with crises, wars, and fragile treaties. His hair had turned gray during long years under alien suns, and deep lines formed across his face from endless negotiations and battlefield stresses. Now, at the age of 60, he finally stood on Earth soil as a free man. For the first time in decades, he was retired. The Corps had a tradition. Every decorated veteran who completed a lifetime of service was granted one final request. Some asked for land on distant colonies, others for wealth, and some for a chance to return to families they had been separated from. Marcus asked for none of those. His life had been filled with duty, not family. He had no wife waiting for him, no children to welcome him home. What he wanted was simple: companionship. A presence to ease the loneliness that would soon fill the quiet days of retirement. When the council asked him what he desired, Marcus gave his unusual request. "One alien lady," he said plainly. "Someone from one of the allied worlds who wishes to live peacefully here on Earth. I do not need riches or medals. I only want company in my remaining years." The request was met with raised eyebrows and a few chuckles, but it was not unheard of. The Corps had long supported cultural exchanges between humans and alien allies. A volunteer from an allied race would be assigned to him, and together they would live under Earth law while sharing customs and learning from one another. It was a way to strengthen bonds between species, and Marcus believed it would also fill the silence that had waited for him all his life. The day of his retirement ceremony was bright. The capital city's skies were filled with banners, and thousands of citizens gathered to watch the event. Soldiers marched, bands played, and the Corps honored one of their oldest veterans. Marcus received his medal, shook hands with officials, and gave a short speech. He kept it brief, as was his nature. He did not care for applause or attention. His mind was already on what awaited him later that evening. At dusk, a shuttle descended in the garden of his new home on the outskirts of the city. The house was quiet, built of stone and wood, far from the noise of the capital. Marcus stood at the landing pad, his posture still sharp even though his career was behind him. He expected one passenger to step out, one companion as promised. Instead, as the shuttle door hissed open, two tall figures emerged side by side. Marcus blinked. His sharp eyes narrowed. Two alien women walked down the ramp gracefully, their movements light as though the planet's gravity was too weak for them. They were Liari, a species known for their elegance and their deep connection with family bonds. The sisters were slender, with luminous eyes that seemed to shift between shades of silver and blue depending on the light. Their hair fell in flowing waves, dark as night. Their clothes shimmered with woven threads from their homeworld, soft and flowing like living water. Marcus spoke first. His voice carried the firm tone of command even though he was no longer in uniform. "I asked for one. Why are there two of you?" The sisters looked at each other and then back at him. The taller one, with calm eyes and a composed expression, bowed slightly. "I am Saren of the Liari. This is my younger sister, Lyra. We come as one." Lyra smiled brightly, her eyes sparkling with curiosity as she stepped closer to Marcus. "You are Captain Hale, yes? The human who spent his life keeping peace among the stars." "We are honored. The council said you requested a companion, but our people do not send one when two are bound." "We are sisters. We are never apart," Marcus frowned. His heart was heavy with the thought of sharing his home with not one but two strangers. He had imagined quiet evenings, not the noise of double company. He crossed his arms, studying them. The agreement was for one. Saren raised her head, her voice steady. "Captain, the Liari Council interpreted your request according to our tradition. Among us, siblings who have formed the bond of unity cannot be separated. If one is chosen for companionship, the other follows. It is not disrespect. It is honor," Marcus sighed. He had dealt with alien customs all his life, and he knew better than to argue against deep cultural traditions. Still, the situation was not what he expected. He nodded slowly. "Very well. Both of you, then. But understand this. I am a simple man. My service is over. I want peace and quiet. Can you respect that?" Lyra giggled softly, a sound like wind chimes, and answered before her sister could. "We will try, Captain. But Earth is new to us. Everything here is full of wonder. I cannot promise silence." Her enthusiasm was clear, while Saren rolled her eyes in mild disapproval of her sister's boldness. The shuttle lifted off, leaving Marcus with his unexpected companions. He guided them into the house, where the lights warmed the stone walls and the furniture stood neatly arranged. The sisters looked around with fascination, touching the surfaces, studying the paintings, and whispering in their native tongue. Marcus felt the weight of years pressing down on him. He had wanted company, yes, but now he wondered if he had invited chaos into his life. Dinner was simple. Marcus served them human food, roasted vegetables and bread, and the sisters tasted it carefully. Saren analyzed each flavor as though studying a science experiment, while Lyra eagerly tried everything at once. They asked questions about Earth traditions, about music, about the history of wars Marcus had fought. He answered with patience, though his voice remained gruff. It had been a long time since anyone had asked him personal questions. He was not used to being the center of attention in his own home. As the night deepened, Marcus sat by the fire while the sisters rested nearby. Saren remained silent, her silver eyes observing him with calm interest. Lyra leaned forward, her energy still unspent. "Captain, why did you ask for one of us? Many humans ask for wealth or land. Why not you?" Marcus thought for a long moment before answering. His voice was quiet, filled with the weight of years. "Because wealth fades. Land can be taken, but loneliness is harder to fight than any enemy. I served too long. I gave everything to the core. Now I only wanted someone to sit with me when the silence becomes too loud." Lyra's smile softened, and Saren inclined her head respectfully. Neither sister spoke after that. They seemed to understand. The fire crackled softly, and for the first time since his retirement, Marcus felt a warmth that was not only from the flames. Perhaps the core had made a mistake, or perhaps fate had given him more than he asked for. As he retired to his room, leaving the sisters to rest in their chambers, Marcus reflected on the strangeness of life. He had asked for one alien lady, but two had arrived. 2 sets of eyes would now watch over his quiet days. 2 voices would fill the silence. He was not sure if this was a blessing or a burden, but deep inside, where his soldier's instincts still lived, Marcus felt the faint stir of something he had not felt in years: change. Morning sunlight spilled into the stone house as Marcus Hale rose early, his habits of discipline unchanged even after retirement. He brewed strong coffee in the kitchen, the bitter smell filling the quiet air. For a moment, he almost forgot the events of the night before. Then he heard laughter echo from the guest rooms. The realization struck him again. 2 alien sisters now lived under his roof. He carried his mug to the porch, hoping for a few minutes of peace. But peace was not easy to find with companions who had never set foot on Earth before. The sisters appeared soon after, their long robes brushing the floor as they entered the kitchen with wide eyes and eager expressions. Lyra, the younger one, was full of excitement. She pointed at every object as though it were a treasure. "Captain, what is this machine? And what is that smell? Is this the drink humans start their day with?" Marcus sipped his coffee before answering. "It is called a coffee maker. The smell is coffee. And yes, most humans start their mornings this way. You may not like it. It is strong." Lyra grabbed a cup anyway, took a sip, and nearly choked. She coughed, her eyes watering, but laughed through it. "It burns, but it wakes me. Perhaps I will learn to like it." Saren shook her head at her sister's impulsiveness. She turned to Marcus, her voice calm. "Forgive Lyra. She is quick to act and slower to think. But she means no harm. We wish to learn your ways, Captain. We only ask for patience." Marcus set his mug down and studied them. He had dealt with alien ambassadors and soldiers, but never shared a roof with 2 at once. Their curiosity was endless. He sighed and nodded. "If you live here, you will learn. But understand I am not a teacher. I am retired." Saren inclined her head. "Then let us teach each other. We bring our customs as well." The day unfolded in a rhythm Marcus had not expected. He tried to complete small chores, repairing a loose railing, cleaning the garden path, arranging supplies, but the sisters followed closely. Lyra asked questions about every tool, touching them and sometimes misusing them in ways that made Marcus mutter under his breath. Saren observed quietly, asking fewer questions, but remembering everything. At noon, Marcus prepared a simple meal. Bread, cheese, and fruit filled the table. He noticed how the sisters hesitated before eating. Lyra sniffed each item with curiosity, while Saren folded her hands. Among our people, we give thanks before sharing food. May we offer our words? Marcus shrugged. Do as you wish. The sisters closed their eyes and spoke in their soft, musical language. Their voices blended like a song, low and steady. Marcus did not understand the words, but he understood the meaning. They were grateful, for the food, for the house, and perhaps even for him. Something in his chest tightened. He did not admit it, but it had been many years since anyone had shared a table with him in such a way. After lunch, Lyra demanded to see the outside world. Captain, we cannot sit in this house all day. Show us Earth. Show us how your people live. Marcus hesitated. He preferred quiet. Crowds unsettled him after so many years of battlefields. Yet the sisters had been sent to live with him, not to hide. He agreed reluctantly. They traveled to the nearby village, walking along dusty roads where children played and merchants called out from market stalls. The sight of two tall Lyari sisters walking beside Marcus drew attention immediately. Villagers whispered, pointing discreetly, though some approached with smiles. One old man clapped Marcus on the shoulder. Captain Hale, you have returned with company, I see. Quite the surprise, Marcus grunted in reply, uncomfortable with the stares. Lyra, however, thrived in the attention. She asked merchants about their goods, sampled strange foods, and even laughed with the children who dared approach her. Saren stayed close to Marcus, watching carefully, ready to step in if her sister went too far. At a fabric stall, Lyra picked up a scarf and wrapped it clumsily around her head. Captain, do I look like a human woman now? She asked, grinning. Marcus shook his head, a faint smile tugging at his lips despite himself. Not quite. You look like a Lyari playing dress-up, Saren sighed, tugging the scarf off her sister. You draw too much attention. As they returned home, Marcus could not deny the effect the sisters had. People in the village seemed curious, but not unkind. For years, Marcus had been alone, remembered only as a soldier. Now, suddenly, he was part of something unusual. Evening came, and Marcus sat by the fire once again. The sisters joined him. Lyra leaned forward eagerly. Captain, tell us about your battles. Tell us how humans fight, how you stood against enemies across the stars. Marcus's eyes darkened. He shook his head. No, the war stories are finished. I do not wish to relive them. Lyra pouted, but respected his refusal. Saren studied him silently, then spoke. If you will not tell us of war, then tell us of Earth. What do you love most about this world? Marcus thought. No one had asked him such a question in decades. He stared into the fire, the flames dancing like memories. What I love most is the land. The soil under my boots. The sound of rain on the roof. The smell of the ocean when the wind is strong. I fought across 100 worlds, but none ever felt like home. Earth is home. That is why I asked for one of you. I wanted someone to share this home with before I leave it forever. The sisters listened in silence. Lyra's usual smile softened, and Saren's steady gaze grew warmer. They did not laugh, nor did they speak quickly. Instead, they seemed to understand the weight of his words. The days turned into weeks. Slowly, a rhythm formed in the household. Marcus continued his chores, and the sisters adapted to human ways. Saren learned to cook simple meals, her careful nature making her an excellent student. Lyra, though often clumsy, brought laughter into the house with her endless experiments, burned bread, spilled water, even broken dishes that Marcus scolded her for, though secretly he found her energy refreshing. At night, the three often sat together, sharing stories. The sisters spoke of Lyari traditions, the unity bond that tied siblings for life, the songs they sang under twin moons, the dances that marked the passing of seasons. Marcus shared stories of Earth's history, of rivers and mountains, of humanity's struggle to survive. In those moments, the distance between their worlds grew smaller, but not everything was easy. Arguments arose. Lyra once invited children from the village into the garden without asking Marcus first. He returned from town to find half a dozen children running through his yard while Lyra laughed with them. His voice thundered with anger, and Lyra's smile faded quickly. Saren stepped in, explaining that her sister meant only kindness, but Marcus demanded rules. This is my home. You will respect it. Another time, Saren corrected Marcus sharply during dinner when he mispronounced a Lyari word. Her tone carried more pride than respect, and Marcus's jaw tightened. I have spent 40 years speaking a dozen alien tongues, he said coldly. Do not speak to me as if I am a child. Saren lowered her gaze, realizing her mistake, but the air remained tense for days. Yet through the conflicts, bonds slowly formed. Marcus found himself listening for their voices when the house grew too quiet. The sisters began to rely on him not as a commander, but as a steady presence, someone who could be stern yet protective. One night, as stars glittered above the garden, Lyra whispered to her sister while Marcus rested nearby. He asked for one of us, but he received two. Do you think he regrets it? Saren's eyes softened as she looked toward Marcus, who had fallen asleep by the fire. No, he does not regret it. He does not know it yet, but he needs both of us. Perhaps more than he will ever admit. Marcus stirred slightly in his chair, the firelight flickering across his weathered face. He did not hear their words, but a faint smile touched his lips. For the first time in many years, he was not alone. Weeks passed in Captain Marcus Hale's quiet house. What had once been a silent home now echoed with the sounds of Lyra's laughter and Saren's calm voice. The sisters had become part of his daily life, even if he would not admit it openly. Marcus was a man of order, but his routine now included their questions, their stories, and even their mistakes. One morning, Marcus decided to take the sisters with him to the orbital station above Earth. Veterans were required to complete regular medical checks, and he thought it might help the sisters see more of human society. Saren agreed calmly, while Lyra nearly burst with excitement at the idea of leaving the planet. The shuttle ride was quiet, the Earth shrinking below them. From the windows, Lyra pressed her face against the glass, gasping at the sight of oceans, mountains, and clouds fading into the curve of space. Your world is so beautiful from here, she whispered. It looks so fragile. Saren, on the other hand, watched Marcus. Do you feel at peace, Captain, seeing your home from the outside? Marcus gave a short nod. Peace is rare in space, but yes. From here, Earth looks worth every sacrifice. The station welcomed them with the usual bustle of ships docking, merchants shouting, and travelers moving between ports. Marcus walked with steady steps, his posture still sharp enough to draw respect from younger officers who recognized him. The sisters followed closely, their presence turning heads wherever they went. Liari were not common on Earth stations, and two together were rarer still. During his medical check, Marcus sat in the waiting hall while the sisters explored nearby shops. As he waited, he overheard two men speaking in hushed voices near a corner. Another veteran was targeted last night, one whispered. They say mercenaries tried to capture him outside his home. The hostile faction? The other asked. Yes. They believe the old soldiers carry secrets from the Peace Corps, codes, strategies, defense plans. Easy prey now that they're retired, Marcus's jaw tightened. He had heard rumors before, but now the words felt sharper, more dangerous. He was no longer a young soldier, but his instincts warned him. This was not idle gossip. Retired veterans were being hunted. When the sisters returned, Lyra carrying a bag of trinkets and Saren carrying nothing but suspicion in her eyes, Marcus kept silent at first. But later, as they boarded the shuttle back to Earth, Saren leaned close. You heard something, didn't you? Marcus glanced at her, surprised by her perception. How do you know? Your shoulders stiffened. Your eyes grew cold. I have seen soldiers carry that look before. Marcus gave a low sigh. They say veterans are being targeted. Someone believes we carry secrets worth stealing. If it is true, then danger may come to my door. Lyra's smile faded, and for once she was quiet. Saren, however, spoke firmly. Then our presence is not a mistake. We were sent for this reason. Marcus frowned. What do you mean? Saren looked at her sister, then back at Marcus. The Liari Council told us little when we volunteered. They only said we were to live with you, to remain by your side. But Liari tradition does not waste two sisters on a simple companionship exchange. They must have known. They must have believed you would be in danger. We are not only here to share your home. We are here to protect you. Marcus felt the weight of her words. He leaned back in his seat, his hand tightening on the armrest. Protect me? I am retired. My war is finished. Lyra spoke softly, her usual playful voice subdued. Perhaps your war is finished, Captain. But danger does not end just because you wish it to. Sometimes it follows you home. The shuttle descended into Earth's skies, but Marcus's mind was far away. Could it be true? Had the Corps known all along? And if so, why had they not warned him directly? Back at the house, Marcus tried to return to his routine, but unease hung in the air. He found himself checking the locks on the doors twice, scanning the horizon when he walked in the garden, and listening for sounds at night. The sisters noticed his vigilance. Siren watched with approval, while Lyra teased him gently. "You are like a wolf pacing the edge of its den," she said one evening. Marcus did not smile. A wolf knows when hunters are near. It was a few nights later when the unease became real. Marcus awoke. The days at the outpost grew busier. Colonel Harris never thought his retirement gift would turn into such a full-time duty. Lyra and Kaelin were not ordinary visitors who could blend quietly into human society. They were alien women, each from a culture that measured life differently from humans. Every action they took, every sentence they spoke, seemed to bring questions that had no easy answers. Harris was not angry about it. In fact, he felt alive again. The outpost had always been a quiet, lonely place. But now, with the presence of two alien guests, the halls echoed with laughter, arguments, and the hum of discovery. One morning, Harris woke to the sound of voices in the courtyard. He stepped outside and found Lyra and Kaelin standing face to face. Their eyes were sharp, their postures tense. They were not fighting physically, but their words carried heat. "You keep treating him like a commander," Kaelin said, her voice calm but firm. "He is not leading a war anymore. He is a man who deserves peace. And you keep pretending this is just rest," Lyra shot back. "You don't see how he hides his worries. Peace is not easy for him. He spent his life fighting. Now he does not know how to stop." Harris stood silently watching them. He could sense they were both right. He did carry worry in his heart, even though he smiled during the day. Peace did not come naturally after years of conflict. Later that day, Harris gathered them both at the old metal table in the common room. He poured 3 cups of strong coffee and sat across from them. "You both care," Harris said. "I see it in the way you argue. But I want you to understand something. I am not broken. I'm just learning what life means outside of war." Lyra lowered her eyes. Kaelin crossed her arms but stayed quiet. Harris leaned forward. "I fought battles because I had to. I led soldiers because they trusted me. But when I asked for one companion, I didn't mean I wanted someone to take care of me. I wanted someone to remind me what it feels like to live, not survive. And now here I am, with 2 companions instead of 1. So we will figure this out together." The words seemed to soften the air. Lyra gave a small nod, and Kaelin's lips curved into the faintest smile. The argument faded, replaced by a quiet understanding. But the peace lasted only a short while. The following week brought an unexpected visitor. A human shuttle landed at the edge of the outpost, raising clouds of dust. Harris, Lyra, and Kaelin stood together as the hatch opened and a man in a dark uniform stepped out. It was Commander Yates, one of Harris's old rivals in the fleet. His reputation was one of strictness and pride, a man who never liked bending rules. "Colonel," Yates greeted with a stiff nod. His eyes flicked quickly to Lyra and Kaelin. "So the rumors are true. They gave you not 1, but 2 alien companions." "They are not gifts," Harris replied calmly. "They are people under my care," Yates smirked. "Care? That is a kind word for what others are calling indulgence. The council back home is not happy. They say it sends the wrong message. An old soldier living with alien women while Earth tries to maintain dignity in the galaxy." Harris clenched his fists under the table. He knew Yates always looked for chances to belittle him. "What do you want, Commander?" Harris asked. "Simple," Yates replied. "Send them back. 1 or both. Show the council that you have not lost discipline. That you still stand for Earth before you stand for yourself." Before Harris could answer, Lyra spoke. Her voice was calm but carried weight. "We are not objects to be sent away. We came here because your people made an agreement. If the agreement has changed, then speak openly. Do not hide behind words of discipline." Kaelin stepped closer too. "And if you think removing us will make him more loyal, you do not understand him at all. He is loyal because he chooses to be, not because someone orders it." Yates's eyes narrowed. "Careful. I could have both of you taken into custody right now." Harris finally rose from his chair. His voice was steady, strong with the authority of his old days. "You will not touch them. You hear me? I may not wear the uniform anymore, but my word still carries weight. If the council wants to question my loyalty, they can come to me directly. Until then, Lyra and Kaelin stay here. With me, there was silence. Even Yates seemed unsure for a moment. He gave a cold glare, then turned sharply toward his shuttle. "This is not over, Harris," he said before leaving. As the shuttle lifted away, Kaelin crossed her arms. "I do not like him," Lyra shook her head. "He sees the world in chains and rules." "Nothing more." Harris sat back down, his body heavy but his spirit firm. Yates was always like that. But this is bigger than him. If the council is talking, it means people are watching us more closely than I thought. That night, the three of them sat together under the stars. The outpost's lights glowed softly against the dark sky. Lyra leaned back, gazing upward. "Your people fear what they do not understand. But they will have to learn. We are here now." Kaelin looked at Harris. "Do you regret it? Asking for one of us?" Harris chuckled softly. "Regret? No, I thought I asked for companionship. Instead, I received 2 challenges, 2 reminders that life isn't finished yet. How could I regret that?" Both Lyra and Kaelin smiled at his words. The moment was simple, yet it carried warmth. But deep inside, Harris knew this was only the beginning. If the council truly disapproved, more pressure would come. And Yates would not let this go. Still, Harris felt no fear. For the first time in years, he had people beside him who believed in him for more than his rank or reputation. And together, they would face whatever came next. The days following Yates's visit were filled with a quiet determination. Lyra began teaching Harris and Kaelin more about her world's traditions, showing how her people built harmony with nature and spirit. Kaelin, on the other hand, introduced them to her methods of discipline and training, running drills that kept Harris surprisingly sharp despite his age. Instead of feeling torn between them, Harris felt stronger. Their differences, once a source of tension, became a balance. When one was strict, the other softened. When one pushed forward, the other reminded them to rest. It was strange, unexpected, but it worked, and as the stars wheeled overhead, Harris found himself thinking not of retirement, but of a new kind of mission, one not given by the council or the fleet, but by life itself, a mission to prove that humans and aliens could live, argue, laugh, and build something better together. The morning after Commander Yates's visit felt heavier than usual. The desert sky stretched wide and clear, but Harris knew storms were brewing far beyond the horizon. Lyra and Kaelin could sense it too. The outpost, once quiet and forgotten, was now the center of attention. And attention from the council rarely meant peace. Still, Harris refused to let worry take over. He walked the grounds with both women at his side, inspecting the walls, checking the water system, and tending to the small garden they had started. Every task gave him calm. Every moment reminded him that life was still more than politics. "Do you think they will send soldiers next?" Kaelin asked as she adjusted a broken panel. "They might," Harris admitted. "But soldiers are just people following orders. Some of them served under me. They'll remember what kind of man I am." Lyra gave him a long look. "And if they don't?" Harris stopped and faced them both. His voice was calm but steady. "Then we show them. Not with weapons, not with fear. We show them what it means to live together. That is stronger than any order." The words seemed simple, but they carried weight. Kaelin gave a short nod, while Lyra's eyes softened with quiet pride. Days passed without incident, but tension lingered. Harris continued his routine, but his ears stayed sharp for any sound of engines in the sky. Finally, after a week, the silence broke. Another shuttle arrived, larger than Yates's, painted with the emblem of the Earth Council. Harris, Lyra, and Kaelin stood at the landing zone as the shuttle lowered itself onto the sand. From the hatch emerged not soldiers, but council envoys in formal suits. There were 3 of them, 2 humans and 1 alien from a species allied with Earth. Their faces were serious, their steps purposeful. "Harris," the lead envoy said, offering a hand. "We are here to observe, not to fight. The council has questions." "Then ask," Harris replied, shaking the man's hand firmly. They were invited inside the common room, where the old table had become the center of many debates. Harris poured drinks as the envoys sat, while Lyra and Kaelin remained close by. The first envoy leaned forward. "Colonel Harris, the council recognizes your service and honors your sacrifice. But your request for a companion was already unusual. Receiving 2 alien women was unexpected. Many are concerned about the message it sends. Harris met his gaze. And what message do you believe it sends? That Earth is weak, the envoy answered. That we are too quick to grow close to outsiders. Some say it makes you appear compromised, as though your loyalty could be swayed. Lyra's eyes flashed, but Harris raised a hand to calm her. He spoke with patience, though his voice carried steel. I have fought wars for Earth. I have bled, lost friends, and given my years in service. My loyalty is not in question. What is in question is whether Earth can see beyond fear. Lyra and Kaelin are not enemies. They are living proof that we can build trust where there was once only conflict. The alien envoy, silent until now, finally spoke. Its voice was deep, resonant. I have observed humans for many years. They are bold, but also cautious. This man speaks the truth. To deny bonds like these is to deny growth. The second human envoy frowned. Perhaps. But the Council wants more than words. They want proof. Show us how this arrangement strengthens humanity rather than weakens it. Kaelin stepped forward, her posture strong and commanding. Then stay, watch us. See how we live, how we argue, how we work. You will find no weakness here. Only balance, Lyra added softly. Peace is not weakness. It is harder to build than war, but it lasts longer. The envoys exchanged glances. Finally, the leader nodded. Very well. We will observe. And so the envoys stayed. For 3 days, they lived at the outpost, watching every interaction. They saw Harris and Kaelin running drills in the yard, the retired soldier still sharp despite his age. They saw Lyra guiding them through quiet meditation at sunset, teaching patience and calm. They saw the three of them share meals, laugh over stories, and even disagree, but always return to understanding. By the end of the 3rd day, the envoys' expressions had softened. They no longer looked like officials searching for flaws, but like guests who had glimpsed something rare. The leader approached Harris once more. You have given us much to consider. Perhaps the council was too quick to judge. We will return with what we have seen. Do that, Harris said. Tell them humanity is not weaker for trusting others. Tell them we are stronger when we choose to stand side by side. The shuttle departed, leaving the outpost quiet again. As the dust settled, Kaelin turned to Harris. You spoke well, stronger than any blade. And you proved them wrong, Lyra added gently. Harris smiled faintly. We proved them wrong, together. For a time, peace returned. The council did not send soldiers, nor did Yates return. Life at the outpost settled into a rhythm once more. But Harris knew change had already begun. Word would spread. Some would support him, others would not. But the idea was planted, that humans and aliens could share life without chains of duty or fear. Weeks later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Harris sat outside watching the desert glow. Lyra sat beside him, her voice calm as she described the stars of her world. Kaelin stood nearby, ever alert, but with a rare softness in her eyes. Do you miss the battlefield? Kaelin asked suddenly. Harris thought for a moment. Sometimes, but I don't miss the cost. What I have now. It feels like a new kind of battle. One worth fighting, one where victory means life, not death. Lyra smiled. Then this is your true retirement. Not an end, but a beginning. Harris nodded. Yes, a beginning. The night deepened, stars burning bright across the sky. The desert wind whispered through the outpost walls. And in that quiet moment, Harris realized the gift he had asked for had grown into something far greater than he ever imagined. He had not only received companionship, he had found purpose again. And whatever the council decided, whatever challenges lay ahead, Harris knew one thing with certainty. He would not face them alone. The old soldier had been given a new mission, not by war or orders, but by life itself. A mission to prove that humanity's greatest strength was not in its weapons, but in its heart, and with Lyra and Kaelin by his side, he was ready.